Hi, my friends. Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here, and in this video, I'm going to talk about meditation, a guide to getting started with a meditation habit, and then also my top tips for meditators. It doesn't matter if you've been meditating for a while now or not. These are my top tips. So, the first thing I want to do is confess something, which is that meditation is something I've been doing for a couple of decades now, almost 2 decades, and it is still something I struggle with. I shared this with someone who I coach. They were talking about their struggles with exercise, and then I shared, I struggle with meditation, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, really? That's fascinating. And I'm like, yeah, I struggle with it. I struggle to stay consistent. Um, I feel like I should be better at meditating by now. Um, Sometimes I sit down and meditate and I have a hard time and feel like I should be doing it better. Other times I don't meditate for days, weeks. I've even done um, definitely a couple of months, maybe not a couple of months, maybe more than a month of not meditating. And so it happens where I go stretches without meditating, or when I am meditating, I'm feeling like I'm doing it wrong. So I wanted to confess that because I don't want to convey an impression that I'm like a meditation, uh, um, like perfect meditator, because I don't think that that exists. I think that if people project that they do meditation perfectly, I think that they are not doing you a service. They're only projecting the good side. And what I want to say is just like anything else, exercise, sleep, eating, work, relationships, money, creativity, waking early, all of this stuff, meditation can be a struggle, and that isn't a problem. It isn't anything that's wrong with you as a human being. It isn't that you suck as a meditator. It's that just like anything else, it can be a struggle. And I struggle with it and I work with it, and I'll share the tips that I have for like staying with it, even though it is a struggle. And I'll share why, I'll share like how to set it up as a habit. But I want to start by saying I am not perfect. And I think that's really important to convey. And if you don't watch the rest of this video and you just take that away, I think that's really important. Okay, so let's get to the guide to setting up a meditation habit and then get to some tips. The first is the why. Why meditate? So I think it's really important to start here because people just have this idea that they should be meditating, like there's some kind of moral imperative to meditate, or you're a good person if you meditate, or you suck if you don't. And I think that's completely wrong. Like, as humans, we lay enough of that on ourselves, and I don't think that that's helpful. I don't think we should be pushing ourselves to do stuff just because like that we're feeling inadequate and insecure about ourselves, and this is how we're going to be like a good person and like finally like be adequate in life. We're already there. So that's something we can realize through meditation, ironically, but that isn't the context that I'd like to create for starting a meditation habit. Is you should be doing it. Otherwise you suck as a human being. You like need to do this to be an adequate person. Um, okay, so then why? Why would it be? Well, I would encourage you to find what's true for you. What would excite you to be starting? And I'll share some possibilities, some that are true for me and that are true for others. One of them is a really simple one. This is one that my Zen teacher gave to me at one point, which is like, it is like an oasis in the midst of our lives when we have so much going on. We're busy, we have a lot of anxiety, we have so much up for us. Meditation, even if you did it for 5 minutes, is a small space where you just give yourself a little bit of peace. And so it's a treat. It's a bit of self-care in that way. So I encourage you to think of it that way. It's like I'm not doing it because I should, or it's not something I have to force myself to do. It's a gift. a treat for myself, a little bit of a spa treatment where I get to like have some peace. Now, it isn't always going to feel peaceful. It's not always going to feel like an oasis, but that is a context that we can create, that this is actually a small space where we can give ourselves a little bit of spaciousness, a little bit of peace, a little bit of an oasis. So that would be one. Another is that life is short and it's passing us by really quickly. And one of the things that we are not doing a lot of the time is really being present and mindful and fully aware of each moment, really appreciating the moments, the gifts of each moment. So we're not doing that very often. And if you wake up and you're like, ooh, the moment that I'm in is actually quite fascinating, quite amazing, quite beautiful, poignant, worthy of attention, then we can see like this is why to meditate. It's practice for showing up for life and being fully present with all of it. If you want to go even further, it's also showing up, being present with life and falling in love with life just as it is without needing it to change. And that might mean there's someone noisy in the next room when you're meditating and you're like, like I'm irritated because they're just disturbing my peace. But actually, that's a part of the meditation, is to let go of how we think life should be and really love it as it is. There's more reasons. I'm going to give a few more quick ones. It's practice for focus and concentration. We can learn to develop that through practice. It can be a practice of, becoming present to our emotions, which are really the undercurrent of everything that we're doing. It's stopping us from showing up for our habits, and it can ruin our relationships if we're not present to the emotions that are there. It's learning to have compassion for those emotions. It's also learning to be aware of our thoughts and how they're controlling us. So there's a lot of stuff that we can bring meditation to bear on. There's more. So, you can share in the comments, actually, what's your reason? Maybe there's something else that I haven't mentioned that you find really compelling, really inspiring. But find your one or more inspiring reasons, not as a should, but because this is like, this is why I choose to sit down and meditate. Okay, so let's imagine you have your why. Now let's get to the how. So there isn't a right way to meditate, but I'm going to encourage a really simple way because it's something that I think a lot of people try and do too much, and then they screw it up and they don't meditate because they're trying to do too much. It's like trying to learn to run, and the first thing you decide is I'm going to go out and run a marathon, and it needs to be world record marathon. Otherwise, I failed, right? That's kind of a silly example, but actually that's how we take on a lot of these things, including meditation. It's like I need to meditate for an hour and it needs to be super peaceful and I need to be super focused the entire time. No, that's not what I recommend in the beginning or at all. So what do I recommend? I'm going to give you a method for meditating. Two different kinds of things to this method that will help you to form the habit of meditation. The first one is to start out with 2 minutes of meditation. Set a timer on your phone, just a simple timer. You don't have to get a fancy meditation timer or an app. Just a timer on your phone, 2 minutes. And sit down. It could be on your couch, a chair, it could be on the floor, on a cushion, on a park bench. It doesn't really matter. Anywhere. Sit down and set a timer and then just sit there and do nothing for 2 minutes. Now I'll talk in a minute about what you can do during those 2 minutes, but your meditation is for 2 minutes. Now if you're able to successfully do that for 3 days, increase it to 3 minutes. If you can do that for 3 days, increase it to 4 minutes. And then you want to just continue to increase if you can do 3 straight days at that level. So I don't want to think of this as levels like this level is better than that level. No, that's just the level that you're able to meditate right now. Imagine that you're trying to lift weights and you're like, I need to like lift 1,000 pounds. No. And even if you were able to lift 100 pounds one day, the next day you might only lift 90 because you're just feeling tired from not having enough sleep, or a lot of stress from your day, or you're feeling sick. And so you shouldn't try and lift 100, you should lift 90. And so we want to find the level that's appropriate for us right now. That's going to make you successful in the long run. And that might mean sometimes scaling backwards. And that might feel like a failure, but it's not. It's actually a success to find the level that fits you right now. So if you're able to meditate for 3 straight days, increase it by a minute. It's a super slow way to progress, but this is the most successful method. A lot of people are going to have you progress faster or start out at a higher level. That will lead to failure. Now, failure is not a bad thing if we learn from it, but this is the method that I recommend. Now, let's say you skip a day for whatever reason. You're sick, you had visitors, you traveled, and you couldn't do it. Okay, great. Go back to a previous level. So if you were at 5 minutes, you missed a day. Okay, next day, start again at 4. If you miss 2 days, start again at 3. If you miss 3 straight days, start again at 2. Don't go below 2. So, if you miss more than 3 days, don't go below 2. So the lowest number you would go at would be 2. And then progress again. Now, that might feel really discouraging, but if you get 2 straight days at 2 minutes, you go back to 2 minutes, get 2 straight days, go ahead and progress to 3. So you can now increment a minute every 2 days to get back to the level you're at, which is 5 minutes. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're doing a method that I did in another video called auto-regulating your habits. So increase if you're successful, decrease if you miss days. Increase if you're successful, decrease if you miss days. Now, through this, you're going to find the level that's right for you. Eventually, you might get to 10 minutes, and then you might cut back to 8, go back to 10, and so you're kind of like going back and forth between 8 and 10. That's the level that's right for you right now. You don't need to be doing 20 minutes. I had a friend who followed this, and eventually they were doing 30 minutes a day every single day. I had other people who did it, and they did 20 minutes a day every single day. I had others who went between 10 and 5 for the longest time, but they were meditating, and that was the level that was right for them. And I think that's perfect. You don't need to be the person who did 30 minutes or 20 minutes. If you're in the 10 to 5 range or the 2 to 5, that's the level that's perfect for you right now. We want to find that level, and this method will find that level. Okay, so that's one aspect of this, which is how to auto-regulate the amount of time. You can go faster if you like to, but definitely reduce if you're missing days. Okay, the next part of this method is to keep the actual thing that you do during those 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes as simple as possible. So sit down. So I'm sitting in a chair. You can close your eyes. There's methods where you keep your eyes open. I actually keep my eyes open, but for now, just close your eyes. Cut down on the distractions. And all I want you to do is notice some kind of bodily sensation. So bodily sensation is, I can feel the clothing on my skin right here in my shoulder. I can feel my chest rising and falling with my breath. I can feel a little bit of sensation of hunger in my stomach. And now hunger is a label. What I really feel is a little bit of tenderness in my stomach. I feel tension in my jaw. So we want to find some kind of body sensation and pay attention to bodily sensation for as much of that 2 minutes as you can. Now, if you really have trouble with this kind of like vague, like where do I focus, and that's troubling for you, find a specific place where you feel sensation of the breath. It could be the tips of your nostrils. It could be the back of your throat. It could be your lungs filling up and emptying. So pick one and just focus on sensation in that area. Could be about the size of a $50, something like that, a quarter. So, or a euro. So find a coin size that works for you. But that's about the size of the sensation that you're focusing on. Now, that isn't better than the first thing I said, which is focus on some bodily sensation, but that sometimes is helpful to people. So we just want to focus on bodily sensation. Now, there's going to be times when you don't pay attention to bodily sensation during that 2 or 5 or 20 minutes. You're going to be thinking about what you have to do later, or you're going to be thinking, I screwed up meditation. You're going to be thinking about something, thinking about that person who said that thing to you, or how you've been like failing, or this cool thing you're going to post on social media about how great of a meditator you are, something, right? So you're going to be thinking about it. What I want you to do is just notice, I'm thinking, and then come back to sensation. And you're going to kind of go back and forth. And that is actually meditating. It's not when you're in the body and focusing on sensation, that's meditating, and when you're thinking, that's not. No, meditation is going back and forth. This is, even the best meditators do that. It's a part of meditation, is moving away from the current present moment of sensation and then noticing, I'm away from it. Let me just come back. And that's really what we want, is let go of, you might feel frustrated. Okay, where do I feel frustration in the body? You might feel disappointment. Where do you feel that as sensation in the body? And so you just keep coming back. So that's the method. If it helps, pick a place in your lungs and just stay there. You can close your eyes. And what we want to do is have a restful attention. There isn't much to do. We're just resting our attention there. And what I'll do is I'll do a separate series of videos on meditations that I'll create at some point. But for now, just do this restful kind of meditation. If you want to give yourself some extra bonus practice, a friendly attitude to whatever you notice. So I notice sensation in the stomach. Can I bring a sense of friendliness? That's like, you're good as you are. I care about you. I am, a friend holding you with my attention, as opposed to, this sucks that I have this. Now, if you have that kind of complaining attitude, fine. Bring friendly attitude towards the complaining attitude. So that would be the how to meditate. So now I'm going to give you some tips that I think are helpful for forming the meditation habit. The first tip is pick a spot. So you don't have to meditate in the same spot every day. If you're traveling, you can sit on your hotel bed or a couch or a park bench. So find a spot. But if you're in your house and you can find a space where you can meditate every day, pick a spot and do that. Don't get attached to that spot. You can move if that spot is being taken by someone else. Maybe your cat's there or your kids are playing there and you want to go find some space somewhere else. Fine, go outside. But if you can, pick a spot and a time where that spot can be quiet. So maybe wake up a little bit earlier, like 10 minutes earlier, and meditate. Or a time when the kids are sleeping, either in the morning or in the the evening, or a time when you have a break and you can go somewhere fairly quiet. It doesn't have to be perfectly quiet. And then pick that spot and sit there. It doesn't have to be a meditation cushion. I have a meditation cushion. I like sitting on the floor on the cushion. My hips are tight, so I can't do that for long, but I like a meditation cushion. But for you, sitting in a chair, sitting on a couch, a yoga mat with a block, something that feels comfortable, or you can sit for a few minutes. Eventually, you might want to find something even more comfortable, and you'll find what works for you. Second thing is, let distractions, noises, disturbances be a part of the meditation. So you're meditating on the rising and falling of the breath. Great. But what about if you hear like some sirens in the distance or someone knocks on the door? Um, that's okay. It's just a thing that's happening in this present moment, and you can pay attention to it and let yourself feel whatever you feel and pay attention to the sensations of that. Okay, so the next tip is make the meditation rewarding. Now, if you have like a meditation app and you get to like record your meditations every day, or you mark it on a calendar or a habit tracker in your bullet journal, great. That can be a rewarding thing. Another way to make it rewarding afterward is to share. Have a meditation like WhatsApp or Telegram group. Be a part of my Fearless Living Academy where we have places to report that kind of success. So report afterward and so you're like, yay, or just like an emoji, like a heart emoji or a meditator emoji. And so that can be feel really good, is to report to others that you're doing it. Um, but the thing that I highly recommend is to make the meditation itself rewarding. And so what we want to do is to think of it again like an oasis, a spa, like a treat that you're having, like a little bit of a break. You can, if you like, play some nice music. I don't meditate with music, but I think that could be a really nice thing. You could play, light a nice candle that smells good or some incense. You can have like a nice surrounding, something where the feeling of meditating isn't like forcing yourself to do something really hard, but actually feels nice and rewarding. So we want to make the experience something that you're finding rewarding. The next tip is to take challenges in stride. Have some grace for yourself. You're going to miss some days. You're going to have some days where you just are really resisting meditating. You're going to have some days where you do it and you're just like, oh, like I couldn't stay present. Or you're facing a lot of difficult emotions that are coming up. All of that is totally okay. It's expected. So I want to normalize every single piece of that. It's okay to miss days. And you're like, okay, I missed 2 days in a row. Great, I'm just going to start again. Shrink the habit down a little bit by a couple minutes and start. You missed a month. Great, start at 2 minutes again. It isn't that's a failure or that you are disappointing yourself or any of that kind of stuff. You're just starting at the level that's going to help you to get back into it. You tried to meditate and it felt like super frustrating. Okay, great. That's a part of it as well. Just be like, oh yeah, I had a frustrating meditation. You're going to have frustrating things in your life, and meditation is going to be one of them. It's not like some special thing where you don't ever feel disappointment or frustration or failure. It's going to be a part of it. And so we want to take all of this in stride and think of it as just like sensation to be with when I feel frustration or disappointment. So that isn't a problem. We just bring our attention to it. And that turns me to my next tip, which is that whatever emotions are present for you, we can get present to them. We don't have to label them as like, oh, I'm frustrated or I'm angry or I'm hurt or I'm scared or I'm sad or I'm feeling shame or embarrassment or guilt or anger or any of that stuff. We don't have to label it. We can just feel, what am I feeling as sensation in my body? And if you do label it as frustration or sadness, you just be like, oh yeah, I can feel it. And what happens is we start to allow ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling. It's okay to feel that because we've practiced feeling it a number of times. And again, we can bring friendliness, which is like a welcoming of any kind of feeling. It's a non-judgmental kind of attitude of welcoming, and it's okay to feel this, and I'm here with you. It's a compassionate way. And in this way, we are opening ourselves to our emotions, becoming present with them, and then allowing them to be. Normalizing them, letting ourselves feel them, making it totally okay. And that's going to change a lot for you. So if you can be present to your emotions, bring a friendly attitude, and let go of judgment, this is actually a really powerful training. That's what I have for you today. If you have more questions about meditation, I can do a follow-up video, but that's what I have for you in terms of my top tips and my guide to meditating. I hope this has been helpful. I'm Leo Babauta of Zen Habits. If you like this video, please thumbs up to help others discover it. Comment to let me know if you have questions, anything that was really helpful to you. I really love comments. I read and reply to every single one, even if it's with just like a heart emoji. Comments are amazing. And subscribe and share this with others so that I can, make more videos and help others find this, and the love can be spread throughout the world. So thank you, my friends. Take care. Have a great day.